Nakazawa, your host for Transmission Studio, a show featuring the independent artists and community-based organizations that make San Francisco's arts and culture scene what it is today. And I'm extra hyped today to be welcomed by 3 of the 16 collective members from Family Not a Group. It's a San Francisco-based artist collective with everyone from comedians, rappers, producers, to filmmakers. And you don't want to miss this episode featuring Lay, Jess, and Afterthought of Family Not a Group. Keep it locked. Hey everyone, I'm so excited to have you in the studio and Blessing Transmission Studio. We are here with Afterthought, Lay, and Jess. And you are 3 of the 16 total collective of Family Not a Group. So we're excited to just have 3 of the members representing. Before I have you all kind of introduce yourselves a little more, I just want to say we're all super excited to have you on. A lot of our former guests, when I asked them, like, who are you excited about in the city, they all have said you. So it makes sense and it feels like full circle to be in conversation with you today. Afterthought, if you can just kick us off and let us know in your own words, like what you do and maybe how you got involved in Family Not a Group.
Yeah. I myself personally, I'm Afterthought. I'm a rapper, producer, and songwriter from San Francisco. And I was one of the founding members of Family Not a Group. And I help organize the shows and do a lot of the admin stuff as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Lay?
I'm Lay. I run the merch for Family Not a Group. Prior coming into Family Not a Group, I was a vendor for them. So I have my own line called Bay Pedestrian, and I would always vend their events. So I kind of like made my way into the group by vending for them at first.
Cool. Jess?
Yo, what's up, y'all? I'm Jess Tarantino. I'm a videographer, editor, photographer. I am the head of media for F&G, and yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's cool to just hear all the different roles because I think that for me as an outsider looking in is what makes y'all so special, is also understanding how many roles it takes to make something go.
Right.
And Afterthought, since you're one of the founding members, can you take us back to the beginning? I know a little bit about how y'all came to be formally like Family Not a Group, but I assume, like you said, you've been running in the same scenes and have known of each other for a minute.
Right.
Yeah,
but I'm curious, why make it formal? Like, why make it a real thing and come together in this way?
Well, to preface, this is my
Yes.
Yeah.
version. And there's 16 members and there's a lot of revolving people and everybody has their own version.
Which I love. I love that.
But as I see it, we were all kind of working together in this San Francisco scene, and just creating like music and media and movements together. You know what I mean? Throwing shows. Baghead and I were throwing lots of shows prior and involving Bay Pedestrian. And Jess and I had been working together along with Ozer for a while just on content stuff and media stuff. And Mike Evans Jr. asked me to executive produce a soundtrack 2 years ago in August of 2021, not knowing that I had a house with a studio in it, whatever. And then we started doing that, and from those sessions, a bunch of the artists that are now in FNG came together and were creating music. And then I had a show in New York. I lived in New York for 4 years. And I had a show in New York, a headlining show, and I had no other artists on the bill. And I basically sent an invite out to anyone from San Francisco. I was like, if you want to come, you could do 2 songs, come to New York with me. And I think like 10 of the original members of Family Not a Group came with me to do the show. And then people would ask us, oh, what's the name of your group? And we would say, oh, we're more of a family than a group, because we weren't a group. We were just all from San Francisco. Like there was no name or whatever. And then one night, Mike, drunk, made an Instagram called Family Not a Group.
Oh, I love
it. And then we came back, and there were, some members who did not go to the trip, but like, we were like, oh, we want documentation and we want media.
Right.
Like I said, I've been rocking with Jess for a while, and I don't even remember exactly the message I gave you, but I think it was something like, "Hey, do you want to like be in this?" Like, it was not. There was no formal like, "Oh, here's what we do. Here's what we're doing."
No, you were like, no, that's not. What
But
you
just
said.
instantly hopped in, was down, and yeah. But that's kind of my origin story. Is like rent check sessions, New York, and then we started throwing shows under the name of Family Not a Group on this momentum of like me and Baghead and DJ Say have been throwing shows at our Rio for a while and Knockout for a while. And then we had our first big Family Not a Group presents at the Chapel show, and I feel like that was kind of the first time people were like, oh, whatever, this is Family Not a Group. Yeah. This is what they do. And we had a KQED article written about us, or we're doing. Shout out to KQED.
Shout out to KQED.
And yeah, I don't know. That's sort of how I see the origin, is like it had been existed for years, and there's lots of other groups and collectives that are rocking with us, but FNG, Family Not a Group, just kind of came around organically, and like there's people who are with us all the time who aren't in FNG, they're in another crew, but
I love that though, because it feels like the origin story reflects the energy where it's like you're just being you, you're doing your thing, and then the world is kind of asking like, what is this? Right. So it's like instead of it coming from, I was talking to Vaughn earlier about this content versus culture conversation, and oftentimes people feel encouraged to create content and then hope the content drives community, whereas y'all kind of inadvertently inverted that, where you're creating this community and now you create content, but you already have that community piece that I'm sure is evolving and growing, but that was locked in. Yeah. And then you're creating content just like off of that. Yeah. Which I want to kick to you, Jess. Like, can you speak to a little bit, when you get the text, what do you see? I know it's not new for you, right? Like, you've been in community, but like, what did you see as like the opportunity, or what were you excited about? What was the vision that you saw?
Yeah, well, originally the text was not like, do you want to join a group? He was like, hey, do you want to join this group chat of artists or something, right?
Yeah,
group chat. Right. Group and I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like, why not? I'm always down to network and, get to know people within my city. So I was like, cool. Plus it's AF, right? And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Family Not a Group. We're a group. So I was like, I was taken back. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wait, a group? I'm like, you didn't even ask me. You was just like, come on, But I'm so glad that he did, I'm so glad that he did. But in terms of like my vision for FNG, in terms of content, is just to really highlight us. You know what I mean? Just authentically be us in front of the camera. And we're all Bay Area kids, specifically San Francisco. I think Sunday's the only one who isn't from San Francisco. Yeah. She's from Oakland, you know what I mean? But that's still, she's from San Francisco, even though she's
San Francisco adopted.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I just try to highlight us, you know what I mean? And we all are the culture, you know what I mean? I just think all 16 of us, because we all come from different backgrounds, different ways of living, you know what I mean? We got people who were, poshity posh. You know what I mean? But then we got people who
that was amazing. That's the real.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? And then we got, some people who, and then we got everybody else who just blends in between. So I think FNG is the culture. So it's really easy just to highlight that, because I could turn on the camera.
Yeah.
And he's being
ready.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's ready to go. We got merch over here, So it's really easy.
I definitely want to give you props though, because when I look at your social media, and I've been to so many of the shows, but specifically the content piece, I feel like often I'm like, I know I look like I'm 13, but I'm 37 in November. And I do feel like oftentimes we feel this need to make the camera or the gaze this like imaginary audience that's not us. Right. And it ends up accidentally or intentionally making us feel like we're proving our worth, or we're proving something. Right. And I feel like that's pretty unsuccessful as a strategy, because it's like, who's this audience that you think is relating to your like fake self? Right. But we all know why we do that for Code Switch. There's very real reasons why we do that, but it's so refreshing to not see a very like amazing collective of artists not do that. Right. And you're seeing the response. Like everyone I talk to who's my age, older, like knows about you all. And I have, my family's in Queens, New York, and like everyone in New York knows, you know, so it's like, it's cool to just see the resonance.
That's really cool.
The resonance is not just Bay Area.
Right.
So I think it's, and I saw in something, it said bringing communal healing from the stoop to the world. And I liked that there was an emphasis on the world too, that you're from the city, you're rooted here, but you're also interested in connecting with the world, you know? And then can you tell us about Pedestrian? Tell us about like, what is the merch vibe? What is the vision? How does it connect with, you know, the whole FNG picture?
For sure. I'm also still trying to figure out like my vibe. I think I like definitely have a look right now. A lot of people like to compare me to like Ben Davis or like Dickies, like very workwear and like very simple like type of style, which I love because that's kind of like what I wear. But yeah, like my vision for Bay Pedestrian is just simplicity. I want people that wear my clothing to just wake up and like grab this shirt, grab this sweater, or like grab this jacket and like go on with their day. Like my clothing is made to fold into like your everyday life, you know? But taking kind of like that aspect and like gearing it towards FNG, it's a little bit of a switch because I want to brand FNG in a way where it's like a band. Like when you go see a band or you go see like an artist, they always have merch. And that's my vision for FNG. Whenever you go to our shows, we should always have merch of like our flyers, our current flyers, or like our current projects. Like, so like stuff like that. I want it to be like full circle of like, these are all rock stars, so they should all be seen as that, you know? And I think, true, very true.
What'd you say? Yes.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I just want it to like, I want the merch to just be a full emphasis of like these amazing artists.
And I feel like this holistic vision is so San Francisco, just thinking about every moving piece and how it connects. Right. And when I think of the Bay in general, I think of not siloing stuff, like not thinking of things as these separate things. Right. Like everyone gets to be whatever they want to be, and that's fluid, and it gets to be, you know, you don't have to be like, I'm just a rapper, I'm just a comedian, I'm just, but it's also helpful to have roles, as we know, because when you have to be the rapper, it's too many things. So I'm glad to see you all have roles so that you can also take a step back, which is kind of one of my questions, like how do you navigate delegating that? Because if you have shows every single weekend, who's on, who's off, like how are you managing all the other stuff you've probably got going on in terms of your life and your responsibilities?
Right. It's hard, you know what I mean? It's definitely challenging, you know, when you're dealing with being an entrepreneur, having a 9-to-5, having F&G, trying to make time for your family, you know what I mean? Trying to have time for your other friends as well. It is challenging, but there's 16 of us. Yeah. You know what I mean? I would say that is definitely helpful. And like you said, we all have our roles, you know what I mean? And we all know what hats to wear, and we do them very well, you know what I mean? On a chaotic level, but very well. Very well, you know what I mean? So yeah.
And how do you make decisions? Because I feel like if we're keeping it real, family is a lot of things. Yeah. Like family and groups, there's the beauty of it, and then there's the struggle of it. And when I'm thinking about even, like coming to decisions about politics or coming to decisions about shows, which venues to rock with, like that's a lot of people to deliberate. So can you, Afterthought, can you speak of like, how have you made decisions in the past?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult because there's not really a blueprint for what we're doing.
No.
Right,
you know?
Right.
So we're fully figuring it out. And like Jess said, we do it very well, you know, for what we're doing, but we're every step of the way we're figuring it out. And the thing that makes Family Not a Group so special for a lot of people in San Francisco is that all 16 of us were doing art in a super holistic manner prior to FNG. And so that's the other strength of FNG is like Jess is a videographer that does her own work separate of FNG that then gets reflected. So people, for example, Rent Check, people will come up to us three and be like, I love Rent Check, even though we did not make Rent Check. Or someone will come to me and be like, I saw this cool video with you know, these two dudes, and it's people not in FNG, but the director is Jess. You know what I mean? And so that's like sort of the long way getting to the answer of like there's only a certain amount of decisions that are actually FNG decisions. You know,
right.
Some of it is just like everything looks like FNG because we're a family and we show up for each other. But there's a lot of things that aren't official FNG things. They're just, you know, it's like an afterthought show, but I have songs with everybody in FNG, so they come and Jess is filming and Leigh is vending and suddenly it's FNG. And so with those things, it kind of is like based on who is spearheading that project.
Got it.
And then other than that, it's sort of like we're figuring it out, but there's different roles that people take, you know what I mean? So if Jess is available and it's something to do with media, I usually defer to Jess. And if Jess is not available, then we sort of figure it out, you know what I mean? And usually still are like, oh, well, you know, like just, but I'll edit it, you know what I'm saying? Get someone else. I've set up the people to do the recap and I'll edit it. You know, same thing with merch. And with shows, we have a show committee, you know what I'm saying? We do that. And so we kind of just divide labor as best we can.
That's
it's hard. We're figuring it out. For sure.
I want people to hear that because I feel like there's it's hard to make these decisions to go in on a collective because you might have fear around perfectionism or being paralyzed by like we got to have all the systems in place, and you're giving people who are listening an understanding that you can figure it out.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, we're always rolling with the punches. Like it's difficult. So like for us, if we have like a issue, then like somebody will call a meeting like, okay, can we all please talk about this? And if you're not able to make it, can you call in? So everyone just puts their best foot forward and trying to be available. And like, I feel like that effort just shows everyone like, okay, great. Like at least this person is trying. So like we can move along with like our decision process. Yeah.
I feel like calling a meeting is so bare. Like it's, I feel like, but having it actually respected. Cause I think there's so many examples. I was just thinking in my head how there's this whole like hip hop is turning 50 thing. And I felt mixed ways about it. Cause it's like hip hop has become so institutionalized, which is really, someone could say beautiful, like but I also think that scrappy DIY, that's not romanticizing not having your stuff together. But I think that scrappy spirit is not related to not making money. It's a spirit of how you do things. And I think when our music life becomes all HR, like when our relationships and our creativity become HR, something to me is off.
Exactly. It's very bland.
That's why I'm trying to, that's why I'm asking, like, how do you maintain that spirit while also your generation has the knowledge to know you can't also do it so scrappy that your relationships are the cost. You know, you have to make sure that there's clarity and like everyone feels good about what they're doing. Because the past generation taught you that. Like it will fold if people don't feel respected and honored. You know?
Exactly. And to touch on that point, I think what makes us very special is that for somebody to voice like, hey, I'm not doing well right now, like I need to take a step back. We give this person so much grace, give somebody grace or whatever time that they need, you know, like, and we'll just say like, hey, we're here for you. Just reach out whenever you're ready. You know, so I think like that's what makes everything special is because it's like, that's the family of it. Like that's where we feel home, you know?
Yeah. I just feel like we have a really good, like actually for us, for it to be 16 people, we have a really good, line of communication. Even if we're not feeling something, like I'll be like, hey, look, I'm not feeling this, you know what I mean? And people will listen and, you know, actually like be like, okay, Jess, I interpret what you're saying. How can we help? Or you know what I mean? Like how can we do X, Y, and Z? Because like you said, like the past generation taught us that if it's one crack in the groove, the whole thing will fall. You know what I mean? So I just think earlier on, like for me, I know earlier on in FNG, I was very tough on like, yo, if y'all not feeling something,
say it.
Voice it. You know what I mean? Even if you think someone's gonna get mad at you, that's fine. They'll be mad for that time, but they'll get over it. You know what I mean?
And it's better it comes out now than like, you know what I'm saying, backlog stuff. And Jess is a real pioneer of that. Like always has been like, I think we should do it this way. You know what I mean? Because it opens the line of like, we're 16 people, and
passive aggression.
We're like 16, like Jess was saying earlier, 16 diverse people. Like Like that's the real difference. Is there's a lot of groups that I look up to, but they're all from the same neighborhood. They're all whatever.
Right.
We are from
We're all
every
from
neighborhood
all
in the
over
city,
the
every cultural background.
Yeah.
Like, Oshity Pause Frosh or whatever Jess was saying earlier. But it's like all we could be is honest and like really hold that family value, like Lay was saying, of like we check in, with each other, and like our meetings are really like family gatherings, you know what I mean? And that's the strength, because it's like when everything else is falling apart, to me it's like we are family.
Wow.
Because things will fall apart, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, don't get mad at me for exposing, but like most of our greatest moments, we have just barely been holding on.
Of course,
like,
yeah.
Like,
That's a rule. That's a
we
cosmic
all look
rule.
at each other like, is anyone showing up?
Right.
And then like somehow there's 600 people or whatever. But like, I never lost faith, because like whenever I look at family in our group, I'm like, this is really my family. So it's like, I trust in that power.
And y'all's energy is so good. Like, even if there was just you on the stage, like, it would be the best. I'm always in the front, but yeah, that's really beautiful. It's interesting because I was thinking about one of the other things I love is that there's always this, it's not an intersection, it's like this with activism and art in the Bay. Like, it's not actually an intersection because they're not these clean lines. Right. But I also love the humor and like the lack of, not political correctness, but like there is so much humor even in the flyers or the like improv, the skits.
Yes,
like they make me so happy because it's not corny, or again, it's not the corporate that people of color without any white folks in the room can do. Right. We're like, I am the Latino. It's like, this is terrible. And I like seeing that playfulness, and that I think that feels very Bay Area too to me, where it's like, but then you're out in the street. So it's both. But how does that, do you describe or self-identify, just the three of you, not FY, don't speak for the whole thing, as activists? Or do you feel like, in a way, what you just said is the activism of like living the values as opposed to wearing them and like shouting them, which I feel like that would be dope too, but it feels like you're also embodying them.
I mean, for me, in my opinion, like that's what gravitated me towards FNG, was because I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's a bunch of Black and brown artists that are grouping together to like keep the art scene, the music scene that we grew up with alive in a space where we can no longer afford to be here anymore. Yeah. And like for us, that just, or for me, like it just shows so much power within that, you know? Right. So I would like, I don't know about, like in a way, like I do see us as activists. Yeah.
Right.
That was a beautiful answer.
Yeah. Me personally, I don't consider myself like an activist. Like I'm not out there, because I feel like to be like, oh yeah, I'm an activist. Right. Downplays the actual people out there on the front lines doing the work. Right. But I guess me as a being, us doing what we're doing, me being a gay Black woman, you know what I mean? So to some extent, yes, but like I wouldn't consider myself like general,
Right. Definitely. Yeah. I think in some form, like we are, like like you said, like no disrespect to the frontliners, but I would say like just the power of us moving together and the way we are, like it's beautiful. Yeah, it is.
Pretty similar answer to Jess. Like, I think I used to, and I think in my bio somewhere it still says like activist. Yeah. But as I got more and more involved in music full time, it's like there's less time for activism. But like they both said just now, like everything we do is activism, like just because of not just who we are, but like how we do it. You know what I mean? And like we're not getting any money from any institution, like even the city. You know what I mean? And so, and like we're opening. Like my house is our headquarters, and like we open that space to artists, in like Lay was saying, in a place where like no one can afford to live, eat, sleep, let alone make art. So in that way, I would consider Feminine Group like very, in the mindset of activism, but I wouldn't, we're not like an inherently political group. We're just inherently political because of the world we live in. Right. Our picture looks like exactly what a college campus wants.
Stop. That's very true.
On diversity.
I know, we're
all
all
FNG.
$60,000 a year, but
but we don't get any of that.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
But-
it's like that like conflicting thing is like, you know, yeah, but.
No, that was that's what I was trying to, in my own, it was like feeding them. But I feel like so often we put this binary of like what activism and is what art. But I really resonate with what you said about roles. Mm-hmm. James Baldwin said it. He's like, I'm not Malcolm. I'm not Martin. Right. But I exist and I'm important. Exactly. I'm a witness. Right. And the poet or the artist or whatever we do has a role. Mm-hmm. And it is inherently political. Yeah. But we're not confused about what we aren't doing. Right. Yes. But I just want to give you the flowers on the show of like embodying those values to me is what I think the ancestors would want to see. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, just living that is so beautiful, and just in the conversation, it just really shows up. We're out of time, which is heartbreaking, but it's such a pleasure to see. I know. I'm just, I feel like I'm just bursting with so much gratitude for all of you. And I would love for you to plug like some upcoming, or how people can stay connected. And even if they can't make it to your events, like what's coming up.
Yeah, man. You can follow the FNG Instagram page at Family Not a Group SF. My Instagram page is shot by Just Tarantino.
I am at Bay Pedestrian, BAYPEDESTRIN.
INDEP, yeah.
My Instagram is at AFT.FNG. The FNG is for Family Not a Group.
Hello.
Amazing. Well, keep doing it, and yeah, let us know how we can support. And it's been such a pleasure having you all on. Definitely. Much love.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, much love. All right, y'all. Stay tuned for another episode of Transmission Studio. Thank you so much for keeping it locked. This is Issa Nakazawa, your host. And yeah, more episodes coming for you.
Hey.